news here in Washington. Fox confirms that President Obama will ask for a 3-year freeze on non-security domestic spending in his 2011 budget. So what does that mean? The report on that is next. But first, what's up with the White House? Are they just picking job creation numbers out of a hat? We report, you decide. Now, this sounds like a simple question. How many jobs were created or saved by the $787 billion stimulus? Well, apparently the answer, not so simple.
We finally saw the first positive economic job growth in more than a year, largely as a result of the recovery plan that's put money back into our economy, that saved or created 1.5 million jobs.
The Recovery Act saved thousands and thousands of jobs.
The Recovery Act the president passed has created more than or saved more than 2 million jobs.
These steps have saved or created about 2 million jobs so far.
Steve Moore joins us live. He's a senior economic writer for the Wall Street Journal editorial page. And Steve, before we get to the fact that the White House yesterday seemed to have a little problem with the numbers, a little bit of a discrepancy.
Fuzzy math.
I want to talk about this announcement about the freeze that as of February 1st, so he's going to propose in his February 1st budget. Big deal or no?
Well, I'm happy to hear that we're finally going to get some discipline on spending. But, Greta, remember, these programs that he's talking about freezing now for 3 years, over the last 18 months, the average increase in spending for these agencies has been over 50%. So even if you freeze their spending for 3 years, they are so ahead of the game because they got huge appropriations last year and the year before. And on top of that, they got the massive amount of stimulus spending. So I think this is sort of slamming the barn door shut after the horses have left.
And this has nothing to do with the stimulus package.
That's right. The stimulus.
What exactly is this? These are just the budgets of these different divisions of the government?
That's right. And what the White House is doing is saying, well, but we're going to count the stimulus spending as a separate pot of money. So if you included that stimulus funding in, there wouldn't be a freeze on spending. So it's just typical government, hokey pokey accounting that makes no sense. They're going to get increases in their funding even with the freeze.
Well, according to the administration, told the AP that the freeze would apply to a relatively small portion of the budget.
That's right.
But here's the interesting thing: is that what it sends, at least for me, is that when I hear about a freeze, that a certain number of budgets within the government are going to be frozen. That means everybody else is getting an increase.
Well, remember,
right or wrong?
That's exactly right. And remember also that the massive entitlement programs aren't frozen at all. That's where all the money is.
All right. Now, the jobs saved or created, and I don't know how they determine saved, whatever. But it doesn't seem, at least the government could get on the same page. Gibbs says 1.5 million. Valerie Jarrett says thousands. David Axelrod says 2 million jobs.
Yeah, and remember, this time last year, they promised us 3 million jobs. Let's talk about what's really happened, which is that since the stimulus started, we've lost 3 million jobs. So if they were to ask me how many jobs have been created by the stimulus, I'd say negative 3 million, because that's the number we've lost.
Well, it's the unemployment rate that my eyes on.
That's right.
I mean, because the saved or created, I don't know how you measure a job that's been saved.
It's impossible.
I think that was thrown in just to sort of make so they could have some level of fluidness when it comes to numbers.
To fluff up the numbers.
Right.
But people should realize that a year ago, the selling point for this program was that if we pass it, we'll have an unemployment rate of less than 8%. We now have a 10% unemployment rate. The numbers that have come in just the last couple of weeks on the unemployment claims, which are the lead indicator of where unemployment is going, they're still kind of lousy, Greta. So we still haven't turned the corner on jobs.
When do we get the next unemployment numbers?
That'll be in about a week or so.
All right. And, I think that more than anything, we need to look at trends at this point.
Right.
If that trend is downward, that's a very good sign, because that may indicate that maybe it's not as accelerated.
You can't just look at the unemployment rate, because remember, people are becoming so discouraged, they're not even looking for a job.
Except it's a lag indicator. I mean, the unemployment is a lag indicator. So I guess you balance it. Look, if you're unemployed, I don't care if it's only 1%. It's lousy, and and you're worried in your family. So I'm not in any way saying that these numbers are not suggesting these numbers are great. Only trying to figure out the trend, because economics tends to go in trends unless there's some catastrophic event like 9/11, which turns up everything.
Well, right now, businesses simply aren't hiring. The good news is they're not laying off workers like they were 6 months ago, but they're not hiring new workers. They're kind of in a frozen place right now. By the way, I wanted to say this about the stimulus, the jobs numbers. I was looking at the website today. Remember the website that's supposed to have all this information about where all the money went? Those numbers haven't been updated now for almost 3 months. in the if you go to recovery.org. The numbers are phony.
That may be a good idea, because when they were doing
All the
it,
numbers were wrong to begin
right.
with, but I mean the fact that they haven't updated these numbers in 3 months is, you know, somewhat chilling.
So, why aren't they?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I think, one, they haven't been able to track where the money's going. Number two, I don't
I mean,
think they
that's
have
terrible. That is terrible.
Right. Because this was supposed to be a record amount of transparency and accountability with this program.
And
We haven't had it.
well, I guess we'll see tomorrow
And we
night.
have lost
Or 2 nights.
3 million jobs. That's the number.
All right.
Negative 3 million.
Steve, thank you.